It's a simple truth that every business needs creativity in order to thrive. It's also true that most entrepreneurs don't feel themselves to be particularly creative. I know for myself, as I've spent probably most of my adult life questioning my own creativity and not feeling particularly creative, despite the fact that I was quite artistic, studied drama, all of these things were part of who I was, but I still didn't feel myself to be particularly creative. And I'd look at other people who I would admire for their creativity and not see it in myself. And it was quite a slow and long journey to begin to understand what creativity really is and why everybody is creative. So creativity is simply energy that is moving through you. It's moving through your perspectives and your interpretation and translation of life. It's how you choose to engage with life. Because how you choose to engage with life, and you're taking action through how you are engaging with life, then that is your creativity. And there are truths and there are consistencies in the way in which you do that. And that is the essence of your own creativity. So creativity is really your soul at work. It's your soul talking to the world through your body. And it's giving you an opportunity to explore what you want to bring into play in the world and how you want to express your creativity through the things that you do. So obviously creativity is an incredibly important part of day-to-day life in business. But if you've ever kind of questioned your value, or if you've ever wondered whether or not what you're creating is worth it, do people want it? If you struggled with imposter syndrome, then you're going to really struggle with your creativity, because you need to believe that what you're creating matters. If you don't believe that what you're creating matters, then your creativity itself is going to be suppressed and damped down, which is not going to help your business one bit. You need that energy to be flowing freely in order for your business to be taking the opportunities it needs to take and creating the connections and reaching out to people and receiving those people into your business that you need to receive into your business. That all of that depends upon you truly believing in the value of what you're creating. So there's a lot of work to do for ourselves on finding that inner self-belief, and also it's not just about self-belief, it's also about saying that knowing that what you're creating has a place in the world, has an impact in the world, and has a value in the world, and really being able to get behind that. So that is the key to overcoming one of the first creativity blocks that most entrepreneurs have, is truly believing that they're creative and that what they're creating matters. So creativity is energy that is moving through us. It is energy that is coming into expression. I always talk about it as being expression. Expression isn't just your voice. Expression is also, the actions that you take, the way in which your presence impacts the world around you and the people around you, the sort of like the ripple effects that you have. That is part of your expression. But in order to really flow with that creativity and to be able to have it on tap, if you like, we need to understand how creativity works. And creativity isn't something that just comes and goes. We're always in creative mode. We're always creating, but we're in different phases of that creativity. So in our day-to-day lives, when we live in a culture that values productivity and constantly doing, it disconnects us from some core parts of the creative cycle that allow things to fully emerge. So we've all got patterns with creativity where we sort of like tend to fall down a little bit, and it's because we're not following through the full cycle of the creative process, and that's holding us back somewhat. It means that we quite often get to a certain point and then we can't progress it any further. So if you've got a whole host of projects that are sitting in your drawer waiting to be completed, it's because you haven't fully followed through the creative cycle. So there are 4 phases of the creative cycle, and these are held by the elements. Now, so the elements are going to give you the full dimensions of the creative process. And we all have our affinities with particular elements, and we also have elements that we kind of tend to avoid, and that's where our creative cycle tends to drop down, and therefore we can't nurture that creativity in our business to its fullest potential. So there are 4 phases, 4 elements. So the first phase is really about how do we receive an idea, and how do we begin to claim that idea. And that's held by Earth. Earth is going to help us to really drop into the experience of receiving that creative energy. We then move into earth energy, air energy, which is going to be where we allow that to begin to come into form. And that is like a child, really, sort of like a baby that hasn't been born yet. We don't know how it's going to turn out until it comes out. So it's a very much an internal process, but it's one that is actually coming out into the world. So when we move from earth into air, what we're saying is we've received an idea. I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't really know where it's going. I've got some indications of where it's going, but I don't know how it's going to pan out. And I'm open to being surprised, delighted, intrigued by what comes. So it is, as we move into air energy, we are open to possibility, and we are actively pursuing that possibility and exploring what it might be. But once we've sort of like explored those reaches and we've understood that this is the idea and this is how it's taking its form, then we really need to be getting behind that. And that's when we move into fire energy, and that's when we actually begin to take control, if you like, of the expression of it, where we choose to move into this powerful voice mode, where we are sharing that energy with others and really stepping into its fullest presence. The very act of stepping into the fullest presence means that we shift our identity. We are holding an energy, we are expressing an energy that is changing who we are. So as we allow that to change us who we are, and it expands who we are, and therefore we have to go through a process coming to terms with that, and that's when we move into water energy. Water energy is where we say, I am more than I thought I was, and I am capable of more than I thought I was, and I can connect in different ways with other people, in ways that I didn't know that I had the capacity to do. So there's a becoming process that as we move into water energy, we are saying, yeah, okay, I am. It's very much an I am energy, and it's also like, but it's an acceptance that you are continuing to evolve, and that is opening up new possibilities. So there is a process as we come through water energy where we are really getting into that thing. Yeah, okay, I have integrated, I've acknowledged, I've embodied what it is that I'd received when I was back in earth energy, and now I am taking on board that I am the person who can deliver on that. And because I'm the person that can deliver on that, I am now open to the next level. And that's how the cycle flows. So you can see that if we miss out one of those areas, or we try and jump, so we get an idea and we some inspiration, and we try and jump past the point of exploration and past the point of the voice to becoming it, we miss out so many of the lessons and the important aspects of that creative process. So it's really important to flow through the whole area, and you'll probably get an idea of where you are jumping through that, or kind of not sitting with it for long enough. And an important part of that, as you can imagine, is like you're in the receiving mode in earth, and you're in the exploring mode in air. That's not what we would perceive to be productive time. And because it's not productive time, we try to push it away, because we've got this mentality that we have to always be doing in our businesses, and that isn't true. Part of the creative process is not doing, but actually receiving. And if we never get into receiving mode, then we can never evolve, and we can never expand. This, as we are coming back into water energy, when you've gone through the full cycle and you're coming water energy and you're moving out of that back into earth energy, as you just keep on going around, there is this quietness. There is this sense of descent. There is a sense of stillness where you're not actually receiving anything. And if you're somebody who gets a lot of inspiration all the time, and that's your norm and you're used to that, and you go into this space and you just go, what's wrong with me? Nothing's coming through. And there's a reason it's not coming through. It's because you're integrating what you've been through and you're becoming open to what you're going to become. So we have to rethink how we consider the productivity cycle. It's not the cycle, but what makes us productive, because in order to be productive, we've also got to drop out of being busy in order to be able to drop into what's coming. So to nurture creativity in our businesses, we really need to be rethinking how we frame what it means to be creating, and rethink what productivity and how that impacts our mentality and our mental well-being, actually, because the incessant pressure to be in productivity mode can be extremely draining and extremely taxing on so many people, and it triggers all sorts of shame and guilt because we're not doing what we should be doing. But actually, sometimes getting away from your desk and getting outside, maybe, or going and doing some gardening or cooking or baking, or just doing things with your hands, whatever, that is valuable business time, and is an important part of the space that you create for yourself in order to be able to nurture your creativity. So there are other things that you need to do. You need to really sort of like acknowledge your own creativity, your own traits in your creativity, value what you are doing, and then get really observant about where do you drop out of the creative process, where do you struggle with the creative process, which bit of that cycle is the bit where you rush or you resist or you avoid it, and which bits do you lean into perhaps too much so that you don't actually keep flowing. Those are the things that you can really do to support the creativity in your process. And now I have a practice for you to support your creativity. So if you're ready to do that now, you can carry on with it. Alternatively, if you need some quiet time, arrange some quiet time, pause the video and come back to it later. Let's get ourselves comfortable. So just take a moment to take a breath and then close your eyes. And I want you to take some really deep breaths that you just sigh out. Let it go. We hold so much tension that we can release so easily with our breaths. Just taking the deep, deep breath, allowing your lungs to really expand, and then just letting it go is going to make you feel so much more relaxed. But we'll take it even further. So inhale really slowly, filling your torso and allowing the breath to overflow down your legs and down your arms, so that as you exhale, you're taking the tension right down from the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers and just letting it go. And just keep on breathing deeply and slowly, releasing any tension until you feel nicely settled. In front of you, you will see or sense a circle. Perhaps it might be edged in gold light. But right in the center is a light that is calling you in. So walk into the circle. Around you are the elements of earth, air, fire, and water. I want you to turn to face the one that calls you most clearly. And energy from this element is going to stream towards you. And as it comes close, you can sense the interplay of your energy with the energy of the element. Perhaps you sense resistance. Perhaps you feel elated. Observe how this energy changes you and how you receive it. Can you receive any messages from the element to guide your creative expression? Whichever element you turn to first, I want you to now turn to the one that calls you next. And you can feel the energy streaming towards you. You can sense the exchange of energy. You can sense your response to it. To receive any messages that this element chooses to share with you. And now turn to the next element that calls you. And that element will send energy towards you. And you can sense the exchange of the energy and your response to it. And you receive any messages that the element chooses to share with you. And finally, turn to the last element. Energy will stream towards you. There will be an exchange, and you will feel your response to this energy. You'll receive any messages that this element chooses to share with you. So the element that called to you first, that it is the one that represents the opening of your creative cycle. And the one that you turn to last represents the close of your creative cycle. So thinking about the opening and the closing of that cycle, how does it leave you feeling? What openings does it offer it to you to continue creating and expressing, to understand where you begin to create and where you complete your creative cycle? To come back to your breathing now, how do you feel? What have you learned about your creative strengths and the areas where you may need to focus more? Now, your creative cycle will change all the time because you are constantly evolving and because what you need changes in the moment. So you can come back to this space whenever you choose and connect to the elements to learn more about your creative energy, or for guidance when you're creating new services or products in your business or designing new parts of your business. This space is always open to you. So when you feel ready, use your breath to connect to your body and begin to breathe movement into it. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. So this is a practice that you can use whenever you need to to evolve and develop your creativity and your creative processes. And the elements are there to support you through the different ways in which you will be creating, and to show you how to amplify your creativity within your business and really nurture that creative, life-giving process that is going to help your business thrive. And I really hope that it helps you to continue to develop and grow your business into its fullest potential.